what's relevant for us within a kind of formal education setting and even university when you're looking at 21 years of age. The first 7 years are the baby to school child, and the significant development there is the physical phase. And I'll explain to you the concepts of the why, what, and who a little bit later. But often you'll find that a child in this age group, the most common question they will ask is why, when they have the ability to speak and to be verbal. Then we've got the student who's 7 to 14, and they're in that school child to adolescent. The phase that they go through in this 7-year cycle is one of imagination and also developing their emotions, their individualness, if you want to consider that. So the what question comes in there is, what is happening in my world? What can take place? And how does that impact on me as an individual? Then in the 14 to 21 years, this is where the puberty to young adulthood comes in, and where the individual aspects of being able to adopt rational thinking and develop concepts and understandings. And so this is also the who, because in this 14 to 21-year-old bracket, it's a stage where they're trying to establish their identity and with whom they associate beyond their family. So there's significant characteristics of each of those. Let's just consider the 0 to 7, what happens during that particular stage where they're developing in many ways. They're developing their ability to walk, to speak, to understand and exhibit verbal and non-verbal cues, be very unconscious in their way of learning. They're really dependent on those around them to provide them with the nurturing, caring environment within which they will grow, and they like things that are positive and familiar because that supports them. And also too, that there are sort of rhythmic structures and progressions through the day so that they know that familiarity and can feel safe and secure in that space. But most of all, they're dependent on the loved ones around them. And there's certain things that they're learning behavioural responses, and also things about, if I do this, what happens? And you can think about that as they go from being a baby right through to 7 years of age. There are significant phases of learning and significant phases of development through that period of time. And it's important to understand that their learning is starting at this age, and they learn naturally in this particular environment. So when we come to the 7 to 14 stage, this is where that imagination is continuing, because it's allowing them to see the world. Like, they will have the world coming into their life now, and they will be seeing pictures, and they will be using their imagination to create this world that they want to be a part of, and developing their own emotions, their own preferences, their values, their own beliefs, all those standards and values. But they will have a hero that they might imitate. So it could be, say, a sporting hero, or it could be a movie hero or something like that. So they will have that connection, that they'll go beyond their immediate family to explore what else is around there. And for them, they're trying to understand themselves in the world at this point. And we need to provide them with the opportunity to do that by the way that we deliver the learning tasks that they encounter. At this age, we need to appreciate that they're capable of inspired insights. Because they have this imagination, they're not limited to a certain degree. They're open to exploring what is out there. And this is where the what part of this phase of their life plays a significant role. The whole thing too, we need to understand that the continuance of play needs to also play a part. This is where they're developing the ability to think rationally and to develop their own concepts for themselves. Now, of course, what's happening at this stage is they're going through puberty. So all of us know, having dealt with kids going through puberty, that this is really quite a tumultuous period of time, that as they're trying to develop themselves, they're also developing a new relationship with the world, because at this stage, the question that they're asking is, who am I? Who is, who am I? What's my identity? And who is my tribe? Who are the people that I want to hang out with? And who are my friends and everything else? And so they start to make life something that is of their own, not dependent totally on the parent. It's a case of this is where they're starting to develop their own ideas of what they will be doing in the world, and they're seeking for that sense of truth, so that they can. Sometimes it might be when they're expressing their understanding of what the truth is, they may even be misunderstood, and we see that with a lot of things that young people are engaging in, where they're expressing their voice out into community, where we've got the climate change voice that's being heard, or the Me Too voice, or whatever it is, but they're all seeking some sense of clarity about who am I in this world? Who is my, who am I? What's my identity? They're also looking for role models. So they're beyond sort of imitating a hero. They're now looking for role models. And this is where, as the adults in the world, we do have some responsibility there, where we're allowing them to be in the right space to have some good role models, particularly as they're involved in educational community. But then, of course, if we're parents, we want them to have good role models outside of family as well, where they can mirror the values, or they can reflect some of the convictions that we might have, because they can be engaged in reasonable conversation with the family on this. They're also transitioning towards independence and maturity. And so they're starting to move away from some of the restrictions, particularly as we get into the upper level there of the 18, 21 years. They probably may even be leaving home, which means they develop some level of maturity, but they also begin to shape their own world as a result of that. And they may start to think at this point, it's, well, what type of things am I going to do in my life? So they're making decisions about their future at this particular stage, and it's all working on their ability to have this aspect of developing their own concepts and understanding, but also to engage in rational thinking.